And welcome back for one more set today. The Wargs taking on the Titans. It's Gore and it's Trelly as we jump into this. And Trelly, this one should be fantastic, right? First off, we just got an amazing set. But these two teams, a lot of history for a lot of these players in this matchup. And again, a very interesting bracket for them to have to go through. Having, I think, Hex Mambo on one side, Solar Scarabs on the other, right? Up until you get into that third group, suddenly makes things a little more pressurized. Maybe makes you more hopeful for one of those top two spots, at least in your current groups. But then knowing that eventually you'll have to go through Johnny's team or Deathwalker's team, that's got to be frightening to do for anybody in Europe. If you're in this side of the bracket, in Group B, well, you'll have Deathwalker's team presumably eventually. Scarabs, who are waiting for the winner of this next one. The Penguins, who took a 2-1 loss to Scarabs earlier, are waiting for the loser of this one in a final elim match. Whoever loses that one down there, match 6, will get just knocked out and be the first one to get knocked out. Same thing will happen. Match 10 loser is just knocked out and gonzo. So we're looking at the Wargs. We're zooming in on them plus the Titans. So let's look at some of the names on these teams because, Trelly, they're familiar through and through. lestimics, MastKiII, Zhainy, Bakú, and I'm not even going to try. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say Acid.
Yeah,
we'll try
works.
Acid. AicyD. That makes way more sense than Acid. Panvich, WorstTurttle, GunTTeRR, Predss, Davy. At least 9 names in this that have been around for the SCC, 8 names who have been around for years in the SCC, competing with and against each other, and of course that are going to then put themselves on the line today to try and qualify.
Yeah, we've seen these guys play up against each other. We've seen them for quite some time, so a lot of history in this matchup. Should be a very exciting one. Very close in the standings as well. That's what makes it so exciting, right? 3rd versus 5th seed. Should be an intense matchup, and that's exactly what we want in this situation. You know, it's just pressure has been the name of the game. Both of these junglers have been around for a while. WorstTurttle versus MastKiII. That's where I'm going to be looking, just because that's where I look pretty much every set. But a topic of conversation that really just came up to me in the last set was how important these ADCs have been. I mean, it was just an absolute battle between Load and Streak Up and all these hunters. So I'll be looking towards the duo lane once again just to see if these hard carries can get online. It was crit and crit alone up until this week, and now it's just been, I've seen a little bit of crit, but a lot of just that full shred. So you got to watch out if you're trying to build a little bit of tank stats as well in this sort of meta.
I'm actually as well very interested in the duo lane. Again, AicyD and Bakú, those two on the Titans are two maybe more or less unknown quantities for me as compared to Davy and Predss,
Yep.
who, again, years and years and years and years and maybe a couple more years on there of watching them, as well as what they've been able to accomplish, right? Davy on LAN has been a monster in the past. So that one's going to be fun to watch for the Titans, for the Wargs. And of course, for this set, we jump into Game 1, picks and bans. And as they start to roll through, Sobek, Chernobog, Thoth, maybe the Sobek is the one that stands out the most. On the other side, the Naja, the Horus, and the Athena. Where Horus maybe stands out the most, but it leaves open Maman and Trelly locked in instantly.
That is a lot of confidence, not only that you can deal with the Maman, that's a lot of praise in my mind towards Predss. You're banning Athena and Horus. No one's banning Horus over the Maman, so
Yeah.
they're saying we do not want to deal with Predss on this pick, so they're not going to let that one slide. You're going up against the Anhur, which is a surprise to me. Out of all the ADCs that we've seen that have been available, I would have thought Hachi and Heim would have been a little bit higher on that list, but Outwash, that one makes complete sense.
Yeah, you got one pick that, well, the Maman makes a lot of sense, but like you said, it's a surprise to see it. Period. After we've seen it banned all day. Aphrodite gets locked in there as well. Opwash is one I'm unsurprised to see so high up, but surprised, not answered back with Raijin. Poseidon, though, locked in alongside an Izanami, Trelly, which is definitely an interesting one where we've seen it. And in particular, it's been Netruid in the SBL who plays it.
It's just been net as far as I'm concerned. If you want insane pressure over in duo, you're going to go towards that Iza. That's what I was talking about a bit ago, right? The duo lane has been extremely impactful for these EU teams, so maybe that's the call. Get pressure anyway. The Horus and 4 more bans towards Predss, so a lot of supports taken away. So you got to go towards the Charon. Decent wave clear, but the Iza's going to have that covered, right? You don't have to worry about clearing the wave too much as a Guardian when you have an Izanami in your lane.
Part of me almost wants to swap the Sobek and the Naja just so it's 5 Guardian bans on one side or 5 support bans on one side. Alas, we won't have that. Instead, Charon and Ullr gets locked in. Ullr, who we haven't seen in a long time, and who I'm going to ask you about. Erlang Shen closes things out for the Titans. With Izanami, Ullr, and Poseidon, it definitely feels like Ullr is probably finding himself in the mid lane then, right?
That's what I would do 100%.
Unless it's Sot, but
yeah,
he's not here.
No, I don't want to see any solo lane Ullrs. I want to see the Poseidon in the solo lane and then just throw Ullr over in mid, try to get some pressure. You're up against a Scylla more than likely, so just try and hit axes pretty consistently. And then you have the benefit of, since these ADCs have been building Shred, you can also go the crit Ullr build, which is just disgusting if you can pull it off with those Hydra's procs and the crits. So that's what I'd be doing, and if so, you got a pretty nasty late game.
Well, it's going to be a really exciting matchup, and again, the last one of the day. So without further ado, let's kick it off and jump down to the casters.
Howdy, folks. You got Dimes, you got Inbound, and you got the final set of the day. It's the Niflheim Wargs taking on the Tartarus Titans. And Inbound, we just heard on the desk mention that these two teams were seated pretty close to each other, number 4 and number 5, but I don't want to get it twisted here. The Wargs come in with a 3-2 record, and the Titans have a 1-4 record, so there's more disparity than meets the eye.
Yeah, it seems like the Wargs have been the more consistent team through this phase, and I mean, going in, you see a lot of these players, a lot of just talent through both these teams, but a little bit of an edge to that Warg side. And starting also looking at those P's and B's, it seems like the Wargs kind of know what they want during that. They look for this Maman, someone we've seen very high prio through the SPL, and it goes over to WorstTurttle, who has had some very hard carry games on land, so excited to see what he can do on this.
Man, I'm so interested to hear your take specifically as someone who's been around in the pro scene forever and has seen success at the highest levels on these mage solos that have been coming out. You got Panvich with the Poseidon, lestimics on the other side, Midwell in mean lane, WorstTurttle being driven back under the tower, Gunter with a leap in as well on this Ullr that we'll certainly talk about. WorstTurttle going right back in onto Zhainy, falling low in first blood, going the way of the Wargs, able to escape as well. WorstTurtle on the better side of things here, not even 1 minute into game number 1.
That close early 2v2. I mean, both of these early 2v2s really want to look to fight. Erlang, obviously, Ullr, obviously, but I mean, the Maman's damage there was enough to get it done. Usually you think of this character as that late game scaler, but I mean, so far, great early game by WorstTurttle and GunTTeRR picking up that first blood.
So I want to run it back to what we were chatting about just before that. You got Panvich on the Poseidon, lestimics taking another mage into the solo lane. What is it exactly about these mages in particular and mages as a whole right now that are so dominant in the solo lane in SMITE?
I think it's the build currently on this current patch. I think the build is just so good at what it can do. Provides just about everything you need. And looks like maybe a fight happens over here in this duo lane.
MastKiII's on the left-hand side, but so is WorstTurttle. It's a 3v2 currently. Bakú and MastKiII on the worst end of things. GunTTeRR on the mark here with the axe. Bakú able to escape with just a moment to spare. Unfortunately, falling to WorstTurttle 2-0 on the Maman. That's not what you want to see at 2 minutes. Zhainy's made the rotation as well, locked down by some of those dragons. MastKiII taking out Davey. WorstTurttle with a double and a triple so far here in the game. It's going to be a 3-piece for the Maman. And I mean, if you're WorstTurttle and Maman, you're feeling great. You're 3-0. It's just a spiral from here. Yeah,
this is, again, the god you want to scale to the late game on, but you're 3-0 at this point. You're going to have that early first back, getting this do more very quickly. And we're trying to talk about these mage solos. There's a lot of fighting already in this game. You think of these EU teams, it's usually a little slower, playing for that late game, but not these two teams. These guys want to fight.
So, Inbound, this doesn't happen all too often where your jungler gets off to a 3-0 start. As a team, how does the game plan change, right? What adjustments are you making to what strategy you're initially coming into this game number 1 with when your jungler WorstTurttle is already shoving a lead?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Wargs comp and what they want to do. It's mostly play through duo pressure, play through the Ullr. That's kind of what they want to do. But I mean, you get this early lead on your jungler, especially something that's going to scale into the late game. It shifts to, let's play around the jungler. If WorstTurtle's on your side of the map, that's where we want to fight. If he's not on your side of the map, play it safe. This is kind of just how this next, I would almost say 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes will go. Should be the Wargs playing around WorstTurttle and just about nobody else.
So when you say play around WorstTurtle, right, are you continuing to target this left lane with WorstTurtle, or maybe sending WorstTurtle over to the right-hand side toward an immobile Apwash?
Over Apwash, the game got him already.
We got the answer, and lestimics going to fall. Aegis on the mark, but WorstTurtle dunking on the solo lane. Lestimics here, 4-0-0, a level 6 WorstTurtle. If you're the Tartarus Titans, I mean, mentally, you're already on the back foot, are you not?
Oh, 100%. But the big bright side for the Titans at this point is, yes, Worst is 4-0, but that's no beats. This is a blink Maman, so there is potential there, especially with the CC. Scylla, a lot of CC. You have a little bit on the Erlang too. Afro's got a little bit. So you have shutdown potential, and I think that's where their mindset has to shift. We're talking about the Wargs, what they need to do. They want to play around this Maman. The Titans need to shut down this Maman more than anything.
Shield buff on the left-hand side going the way to the Tartarus Titans. And let's slow it down here for a second. There's been a lot of blood already spilled as WorstTurtle's making yet another rotation, not resting on the laurels at all. AicyD and Bakú in a tough spot here. Aphrodite, no movement abilities. Ultimate already used preemptively and falling low. There comes a nice shield. Davey with maybe a tick of HP. A couple autos are going to do it. Look at that. Bastion, the barrier, successfully body blocks for the ADC and the Niflheim Wargs. Now surrounded by three. MastKiI's made the rotation. AicyD with a weird path going down to WorstTurtle for the 5-tick there. Not even 5 minutes in, already 5 kills on the jungler. And somehow the Niflheim Wargs looked originally bound like a botched gank. Somehow goes their way. Bakú pulled back in. No mana. Just a little, not even off the mark. Just not enough damage. It's 5 minutes in, people. I mean, Maman's not going to be able to just 100-0 already.
From what we've seen so far, it almost feels like she has that 100-0 potential, but really the damage is not there yet. A lot of the damage is coming from that Ullr, that Izanami, and she's just kind of there to clean up. But I mean, we've seen so far, even if this Wargs comp does scale very well, I mean, you think double ADC is going to scale well, Poseidon scales very well, and we can even talk about those mage solos if you want after this, but there's a lot of scaling potential on this Wargs comp, but even during that, this early game is something they can fight with. We've seen them fight with it. They have damage elsewhere. It doesn't have to be this Maman doing the damage, but she does clean up fights very well.
All right, it's 6 minutes and just about 10 seconds here. Shield buff goes the way of the Wargs. Let's pull back and slow down. I don't want to catastrophize, right? It's not like it's game over. Gold lead's only at like 2K. We're chilling here, 2.3. All right, that is a little tougher at 6 minutes, but I want to shift now and talk about the Tartarus Titans, right? Bakú, Aphrodite, late game. Zhainy, Scylla, late game. lestimics, Puch, got to get a couple items online. If you're the Tartarus Titans right now, how are you stemming the bleeding, and how are you transitioning the mid game and late game where you're strongest?
I mean, I think you highlighted perfectly. Their late game is incredible. This is not a Wargs win this, they're the only comp that scales. This Titan comp scales very well. They just have to get to a point where they start taking advantageous fights where it's 4v3, not 3v3. A lot of these fights we've seen so far are balanced fights, 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4, whatever it is, but it's just they are losing these fights outright. So we have to start looking around MastKiII, making plays where he has the advantage, not really matching the ganks, which he's done so far with WorstTurtle.
Stacks coming out from all the ADCs on the map. You saw some of those ADCs earlier in the day go toward the Aussie, maybe some more penetration-heavy items. A couple of stacking items online here for both ADCs. In the mid lane, of course, the Ullr is going to be stacking up that Transcendence as well. Talk me through this Tainted Steel pickup by the Izanami.
This is actually one of my favorite shifts with the ADC build. Is a lot of the times you see Cowl, DT, sometimes Arrow. That's about it.
Sure.
Izanami is one of those unique characters where she doesn't need that extra attack speed. She doesn't need that extra damage. She just gets this outright tankiness on a character that's not too safe. And she also is able to spread that Tainted Steel a lot better than other ADCs because technically her autos are AoE autos comparatively to other ADC autos are just single target. And then her abilities do have potential to hit multiple different people also. So she spreads this anti-heal very effectively. And then on a character that's not too safe, she also gets a few protections. So this is one of my favorite builds. We've seen it before. We saw that tainted Odibo Izanami back in like Season 7, Season 8. But now it's shifted more towards just only the tainted, not really an Obo.
Man, you gotta love SMITE when we're in a place where you can put mages in the solo lane, when there's some build variety, when there's different places to go, both in character selection and itemization. It feels not only great to play, but also it's just more fun to watch as AicyD and Bakú are getting driven back pretty much single-handedly here by WorstTurtle. Charon downtown sends that wave out as well. Didn't really need it, but hey, you might as well help out your teammate. 6-0 as WorstTurtle owns 100% of the kills here from the Niflheim Wargs.
Why did AicyD up down? AicyD had a free jump out, and instead he up downs in place. WorstTurtle's able to wrap around, get that pickup kill. I think that's just a little disrespectful of AicyD. I mean, that's a lot of just damage that they have. Maybe he thought they could take that 2v2, and that's why he chose to do it. But just a weird play, kind of, in my opinion.
I mean, only one level down, so it's not like the duo lane has completely been lost. Got a level down in ADC, level down in support. Only one level up here in the jungle on WorstTurttle. Things are not spiraling out of control here for the Tartarus Titans. And I mean, we've barely taken a peek over the solo lane. We had an early gank there from WorstTurttle onto lestimics, but otherwise, it's pretty much dead even there in solo. When are you looking for both of these mages to start making rotations and affect the rest of the map?
Poseidon usually wants to rotate for objectives, so that's what I expect him to do. Whenever this Gold Fury is around the call going to be, I expect Panvich to start rotating out then. But something I kind of want to shift with these objectives fights, because you're talking about rotating these objectives. Looking at the secure side of things, with what the Titans have and what the Wargs have, the Wargs are really limited in the actual confirm on these objectives. So Poseidon, yes, but it's going to be semi-tank, utility Poseidon in solo lane. So it's not going to be that true, like, one-shot potential. And then we see it on the other side. The Titans have the body stacking on Opwash. They have this Scylla ult. So objectives could be a risky play for the Wargs. You say, when do you expect Panvich to rotate? It might be soon, but, I mean, right here, they're pulling it. They have the objective confirmed.
Got some penetration online from Anhur and plenty of damage. It seems like I'm a monster. Slamming down. It's going to be a coin flip. iDavy takes out MastKiII. The Tartarus Titans somehow still managed to snag the Gold Fury under the nose of the Niflheim Wargs, who come out on top so far with 1 kill. An objective for a death. GunTTeRR going in aggressively. The duo lane on the left-hand side of the Tartarus Titans taking the safe pathing, and Scylla just fine there. At 10 minutes, noting the place of these two teams, with that gold lead the way the Niflheim Wargs, is trading a death for a Gold Fury worth it, or is it kind of questionable?
I think it's a good trade, especially because it's that Erlang, but the play on the left, Bakú looks like he's going to go down again.
Bakú, ultimate online, though. There's the up down, but this time, a little bit more helpful. WorstTurttle from downtown taking out Bakú. And so far, 7-0. I guess the Niflheim Wargs have managed to put a kill on a player other than WorstTurttle. But WorstTurtle still leading, certainly, the Niflheim Wargs. MastKiII dropping down and finding the grayscale for the next 20 seconds. AC, jump away. No mana. Predss giving chase. Here comes GunTTeRR as well. Zhainy, couple shots out of Ullr, connecting. Maman just out of distance there from putting some real hurt onto Zhainy. But the Niflheim Wargs have so much damage right now, they can press forward with impunity into the enemy jungle.
And we saw how much damage now Maman has got with these 2 finished items. That was a one-shot onto MastKiII. MastKiII blink in, look for the play, does get one shot. And at this point, now you're really starting to bleed. You were talking about, 2K gold, 6 minutes, it's whatever. We're talking 6K gold at 11 minutes. It is getting bad.
Holy cow.
The Titans need to slow this game down. Too many things are happening. They're losing too many plays at once. The Gold Fury, like you were asking, it was a fine play. Especially MastKiII, who's level 10, he's pretty far behind. Trading him for Gold Fury is fine. But beyond that, the fight after that fight, they lost them both, and then that Gold Fury just gets a lot worse value.
All right, Inbound, my question is how? Right? You say you got to slow the game down. Do you mean like resorting to literally camping tower and farming in the safety of your structures? I mean, how do you slow the game down at this point, as Predss is in no danger here?
Yeah, they've tried to put some damage onto him, and it looks like a fight's going to break out again.
Oh, WorstTurttle is here, which means danger certainly could erupt, as MastKiII is going to have to get away and is able to successfully do so. As long as you've got that kiss from Bakú, you have the ultimate, you got a little movement speed. The Niflheim Wargs able to grab the beacon here at the 12-minute spawn. But, talk me through how you slow it down. What choices do the Tartarus Titans, I should say, even have?
I think you're exactly right with what you need to do. I think it's genuinely having to sit under tower and just trying to let the wave come to you. Maybe try to confirm your own buffs, try to help out MastKiII get some farm, but at this point, we're talking a 3-level lead in jungle. Even if Panvich is in a fight, WorstTurtle's going to be doing way more. And you already see a grouping over on right side. Look at how much ult that ult damage did.
Yeah, Davey totally feeling themselves here. That was just a heat check, right? Like, how much damage can I do? Is AC gonna go down to just like a couple shots, couple autos on my ultimate? And it was actually pretty close. Davey feeling himself. I'm sure the rest of the Niflheim Wargs feeling themselves as well. And the Tartarus Titans, this is some aggressive, I say aggressive, they're in their own jungle, but it feels aggressive because Davey's around, WorstTurtle's around, and still the Tartarus Titans surging forward, looking for something. Actually, Zhainy going in here, as I'll hold that thought for just a second. MastKiII, Davey going down. It took a second longer than anticipated, but Davey's going to find the grayscale. And Bobby, I actually like that the Tartarus Titans are not totally giving up on this map just yet.
Yeah, instead of slowing the game down, they're going the opposite approach, which is take as many fights as possible, try to win something. If we win something here, trade it on the other side of the map, it is a good trade. MastKiI's going down
GG.
again.
Yeah, that's just absolutely gonzo. It's just a matter of time. There it is. Took the ultimate, but the enemy jungler finds death for the next 20 seconds. Have fun in Hades. The Tartarus Titans are, I mean, bleeding's not even the right word. Like, there's a gaping hole inside of the Titan, and gore is spilling out. The Niflheim Wargs completely running away with the first 15 minutes of this game. Fury's back online. No Pyromancer on the map. I mean, we're getting to the point where Fire Giant's not completely out of the realm of possibility here. The Niflheim Wargs are feeling huge. They're looking huge. You grab a couple from the Tartarus Titans, and maybe even look to the biggest objective on the map.
Yeah, when we're talking about a lead that is 7k gold, Fire is completely in reason, especially if it's only 14 minutes. It's entirely plausible. With this Gold Fury up, though, I expect them to play it a little bit more safe, smart, calculated. Go for this Gold Fury first, and then maybe if they get another win, they go to that Fire Giant. But at this point, 7k gold, a lot of that gold is on WorstTurttle. If they kill WorstTurttle, if they shut him down, that is a big change.
I agree with you, but like, also no. Like there's like, how do you kill WorstTurtle?
True, very true.
Especially, I feel like WorstTurtle could probably 2v3 at this point, and then the rest of the squads up, and then it's kind of just team fight over. But you're totally right. I mean, one kill, one death onto WorstTurtle, all of a sudden that gold lead looking a little less precarious. And I think 10-2. I mean, I feel like we can't talk up the lead and the trouncing that the Niflheim Wargs have put on the Tartarus Titans thus far, and it kind of just goes back to the very first thing we said coming into this game. I mean, this is not close. Their seeds 4 and 5, yeah, but 3 and 2 and 1 and 4 are very different records. Yeah,
I think it is a strong 4 versus a weaker 5. And you're talking about Fire Giant, 15-minute Fire Giant, 5 strong here.
lestimics, Zhainy, Bakú trying to make a miracle happen as Predss completely abandons the objective and takes the fights. Exactly what you do. A nice double Kraken isn't going to knock up any of the Tartarus Titans who have been driven back. A little tankier than expected, I think, are the Tartarus Titans. The Niflheim Wargs expended quite a bit. Haven't found too much, but still have lots in the tank with WorstTurttle and Davy. Bakú, lestimics, and Zhainy trying to find the angle. Fire Giant still being leashed here, still getting tanked as MastKiI's going in on the backside. Finding WorstTurttle. Down goes the raid boss as Predss picks up a return kill onto lestimics. Bakú and Zhainy, MastKiII ganging back up here as it is a 4v4. Anhur's in the left lane. Call it a 3v4 based on the split push here from AicyD. But you find a kill onto WorstTurttle. Find a couple towers on the left-hand side. All of a sudden, that gold lead looking a little bit smaller. MastKiII picking up yet another onto Predss. And boy, that is a surge of adrenaline here for the Tartarus Titans.
And just overall huge macro there by the Titans. 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, this is a level 14 Izza and a level 10 Anhur. We're not talking about a level 15 Anhur, 16 Izanami. They tried over that Fire Giant. They were unable to do it, and that entire time, AicyD's able to farm over on the duo side of the map. And that 7k gold leader we were talking about at 12 minutes, I mean, this is decreased. We're talking about 5k now at 17 minutes. Yes, Panvich will drop this tower, a little bit more gold towards the Wargs, but this is slowing the game down. This is what they needed. They take that split push, and they just look for a trade on the other side of the map. And they actually ended up getting more than a trade. They got 2 kills for 1, and then they also got that tier 1 tower. This game is getting in a worrisome spot if you're the Wargs because you're starting to throw your lead a little bit.
I mean, we literally just saw the 6th seed Olympus Bolts take down the Yomi Tanuki. Like, we literally just watched that happen. So, yeah, seeding's important, but it's not the end-all, be-all here as the Niflheim Wargs going to grab another beacon for themselves. Important to note, the Fire Giant did not go down in that engagement. Right, the Niflheim Wargs abandon the objective, Tartarus Titans turn it around, and nobody grabs the FG here as we're about 10 seconds away from 18 minutes. Pyromancer falls the way of the Niflheim Wargs. Still feeling themselves looking to start up this Fire Giant yet again. You're totally called it. Inbound, this is a bomb. In comes lestimics, Kraken on point. Niflheim Wargs grab the FG, and with a swift retreat, able to get out safely as well. You grab the Pyro, grab the Fire, you get out. What's next if you're the Niflheim Wargs?
Now you need to start pushing these waves down. You have the Wars pushing down left, and this is a good spot to be in. Getting this Fire Giant is huge because if you can split Worst off to the side, nobody can match him. You're going to have to send 2, as you said, even 3 people over just to kill him. Even though his beads are down, he is that strong.
Stefan Mirrodin finished off on the left-hand side for WorstTurttle, shoving down the lane. As MastKiI's doing the exact same thing on the right-hand side, grabbing a tier 1 for the likes of the Tartarus Titans, trying to shore up what gold lead they can, as a tier 2 in mid is certainly going to fall and does so here for the Tartarus Titans. WorstTurttle has shoved their way up to the tier 2 in the left-hand side, joined now by iDavy. Some quick auto attacks making short work of the tower. Predss preemptively charging the ultimate, grabbing 2 lestimics in Bakú. lestimics able to use the Bakú ultimate though. Damage immune for the second, but holy, the fire bird has fallen as Zhainy slams down the I'm a Monster.
They didn't kill him?
Getting forced out. Panvich finds MastKiII. In the meantime, but WorstTurtle's looking a little bit worse for wear there. lestimics falling low. Pop the Aegis as well. Gonna escape death for just a second. As GunTTeRR goes in aggressively, the Niflheim Wargs are not done. They take out a Phoenix on the left-hand side. They grab Zhainy. They grab MastKiII, and they're looking mid.
And that Fire Giant sustain as they were getting chased out was just enough. A lot of damage turned onto the Wargs there, but the Titans just don't have enough at this point. They're able to just kind of bait out, wait it out as much as possible, staying up with that Fire Giant. And as you said, that Titan went down quickly. Huge ult by Predss to stop Zhany's back. He's not able to get over to that left Phoenix, and they just burn it. Same thing they did at Fire Giant. And this is that value of that Poseidon. So much objective damage and really good Phoenix and tower damage also.
I mean, Shoguns, got an Izanami with tons of attack speed. You got a Maman who has been running the game since before 1 minute. I mean, that is a recipe for a bird going down in sub 5 seconds. The Tartarus Titans, I mean, it's 20 minutes inbound, but I want to talk base defense with you as the base has already been breached. Who are you looking at really to be the backbone of the base defense for the Tartarus Titans?
I mean, at this point, it's on MastKiII just to get a big blink ult and then Zhainy to follow up. Because the damage outside of that, and their slow defense is not that bad either. They have really good clear with this op wash. But the problem when you have your base already broken is you need somebody to either respond to that left Phoenix or push out those left waves, or your Titan's going to slowly get poked. So the Titans are in this weird spot now where they probably have to look for an all-in, like full engage, MastKiII, blink ult, some Scylla damage on top of it. And if they can't find that, they're going to slowly bleed out both of these Phoenixes because they just don't have any other answer really to this. So much Fire Giant sustain, and you look at this point, we've already seen them try to take this all in, and they just didn't have the damage there. So it's almost like you do it one way, you're going to lose slower, you do it the other way, you're going to lose a little bit quicker, but I think there is some chance there, and I think for the Titans, you've got to look for that all in.
AicyD on the left-hand side, Anhur is backing, so at least going to be there for the right-hand Phoenix defense. We've got 10 ultimates on the board for every single player, but checking out these relics, looks like it's going the way of the Tartarus Titans. Got some beads, some Aegis going to be down for the Niflheim Wargs for the next half minute or so. Is WorstTurttle hovering around this left-hand side, but so is MastKiII. I mean, in that 1v1, does WorstTurttle just body every time?
Oh yeah, I don't think it'll be close. Maybe if MastKiII was 20, we'd probably be talking about a different story.
WorstTurttle hovering around the left-hand side, could take out one member of the Titans before they can even blink, as it's 4 members of the Titans playing frontline here.
Worst went Mantle too.
From Aphrodite. Say that again?
Worst went Mantle too, so even in this 1v1, it's going to be very hard to blow him up.
Good point. MastKiII and WorstTurttle, I mean, staring at each other. You can almost feel WorstTurttle wanting to take that fight. Like, you can feel WorstTurtle wanting to grab one, as there it is. WorstTurtle going in on MastKiII, ultimate popped. Healing gonna come out sooner rather than later, and knock up. Zhainy able to dissuade further aggression here from the Niflheim Wargs. Ultimate down for the Maman. That could pay dividends here on the right side base defense.
Traded out the ult with MastKiII, but now that all-in potential the Titans had before is not there. It's not maybe a great trade for Worst because he's level 20, but Erlang's not going to be able to match him anyway. Maybe actually a bad trade there for the Wargs.
lestimics still having that giant outwash ultimate online. Same thing goes for the I'm a Monster. That's really where I'm looking. If you can find a chained, Zhainy. If Zhainy specifically can find a chained I'm a Monster, that could really turn this team fight on its head. A bit of hesitation here from the Niflheim Wargs, though. They're not quite ready to get engaged, to get hot and heavy on the right-hand side here. You've got a wave moving its way up, and here comes the Tartarus Titans surging forward. AicyD going in aggressively, just off the mark from iDavy. MastKiII falls almost immediately, isn't able to get any work done in the backline there. A big-time Charon ult, catching all 4 from the Tartarus Titans. What a shame the Niflheim Wargs are not able to follow up on the phenomenal support play.
Seems like the Wargs want to play that a little bit slower, not really siege with that Fire Giant. They wanted to wait it out, go for the next one. And now they have 5 with Fire Giant, and MastKiII is dead. And you also have no Opwash ult here if you're the Titans. Somebody's got to push up left wave, somebody's got to be here and right, and somebody's got to match that Maman. The Titans might be spread too thin.
Izanami focusing on the Titan here. Predss taking it up. GunTTeRR has joined the fray as well. That's tons of penetration behind those Ullr autos. Tartarus Titans able to force Niflheim Wargs out of the boundaries of the Phoenix for just a second here. It's about half HP. It's falling low, and it has fallen. Right-hand bird down. Luckily, if you're the Tartarus Titans at least, the left-hand Firebird has come back online. So still, it's kind of a net even, right? You had 2 Phoenixes. You still have 2 Phoenixes.
Yeah, actually almost a net win for the Titans because at least the Titans have their good Phoenix backup. When we talk about it, you want to talk about solo duo Phoenixes. One's on the opposite side of Fire Giant, one is on Fire Giant's side. So you have to clear out if you're in duo to be able to respond to Fire Giant. So slightly good trade for the Titans, but this is still a weak Phoenix and left in this duo lane for the Titans. And Oni Fury is also available. And the Wargs are going to be setting up their waves. They're going to be getting everything ready. And then they're going to go for this Oni wave or this Oni Fury when they're ready. Have the Oni waves pushing out and putting even more pressure on the Titans. I mean, we've talked about it through this entire game almost. It feels like minute 5 was when this game kind of got flipped on its head where Titans have kind of been on the back foot. But this game isn't in an impossible spot. Yes, it's going to be a difficult, fight back. But there is still some potential here. One win here, and we're talking about this game going 30 minutes and maybe even an even game.
Tartarus Titans with an uphill climb, but not an impossible one. As the clock ticks over to the 25-minute mark, Niflheim Wargs grab themselves an Oni Fury. That's going to be a fire and Oni-empowered wave. Waves, plural, on the right-hand side. That's going to be tough to deal with if you're the Tartarus Titans. I mean, looking at the solo, the mid, the ADC to some extent, these level leads are starting to even out. Gold starting to become less and less relevant as builds are getting finished off. We're not quite there yet. I mean, looking at support especially, Bakú really would love to find another item to finish out that last slot. ADC mid, solo, where you're really looking to have some oomph. Tartarus Titans are looking decent at the very least.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to highlight with the Titans. We have the Pendulum finished on the Scylla. There is one-shot potential there, so eyes on that.
Niflheim Wargs ready to get things going on this weakened Phoenix on the left-hand side. It's Davy, it's Predss, and it is GunTTeRR. Meanwhile, Titans have been unleashed and are hunting down the middle lane. It's Turtle and it's Panvich trying to shove their Titan under the middle lane. As it's just a distraction, really, as the trio on the left-hand side for the Niflheim Wargs able to successfully grab the weakened Phoenix, no problemo there, and even drop the middle Firebird to just a tick over half HP here. Tartarus Titans in a tough spot, 2 Phoenixes down. Pincher maneuver here coming out from the Niflheim Wargs. It's Panvich and WorstTurttle on the back end here from the Tartarus Titans, and they are getting squashed from every single angle. No one has fallen yet, but it's only a matter of time as MastKiII putting the hurt down onto Panvich. So far, the Tartarus Titans actually come out on top. Scratch that as lestimics is going to fall to the grayscale. WorstTurttle follows it up with 1, follows it up with 2, and the Tartarus Titans fall to the Niflheim Wargs for game numero uno.
And it was a 26-minute game, but that through and through was all Wargs. I mean, we're talking start to finish.
Yeah.
As soon as Worst gets that first kill, it's Worst getting another and another and another. And I think he was 7-0 at one point. And we're talking about Maman as a late game character. Worst made her look like one of the best early game gods in the game. So that's something I'd want to look at if I'm the Titans. Probably no Maman or pick something better around the Maman, maybe something you can win that 2v2 with. But, I mean, great performance by WorstTurttle and great performance by Wargs all around in game 1.
So, focusing less on the Wargs, we can't say enough about that squad. The Tartarus Titans, if you're looking to change up that draft, is there one particular or couple characters that you're looking at that may be helpful?
I think it's just picking slightly stronger characters. I think you look at a lot of what they had. I mean, Opwash is fine, Erlang's fine, Scylla's fine, but I think overall their comp just made not as much sense as that Wargs comp did. So just overall, I think they just need to pick characters that kind of flow better together.
Tartarus Titans looking to hit that mental reset button for game number 2 against the Niflheim Wargs. Stick around, we'll be right back.
That's right. That's what these teams right now are fighting for. It's what the Pro League teams have fought for and will continue to fight for. It is the SMITE World Championship live in Arlington, Texas, January 12th through 14th. If you've already got your tickets, I can't wait to see you there. If you haven't, though, then, well, unfortunately they sold out, but I've got great news. You can watch us on Twitch, on YouTube. Feel like you're part of the action. We always do a little bit of like Worlds with Fans stuff, right, to see how you're watching at home. And make sure that you can then also maybe go to the store, like shop.highresstudios.com/SBL, and you could pick up some merch just to feel like you're there as well, a jersey to make you feel you're part of the crew, because you are, because we can't do this without you at home who are watching. So make sure that you go to shop.highresstudios.com/SLWC, whether you're watching on Twitch, on YouTube, or if you're there live in the venue in person. We're going to be happy to hang out with you. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. Really, really fun. Exciting stuff, not only game-wise, but beyond that, right? Beyond the SPL. I think that is going to come through. It's Gore, it's Trelly. And the Wargs are the ones who are up 1-0. Seeding-wise, maybe not too surprising, but control-wise, Trelly, it was a little surprising to see how much of this game they were able to kind of lean into.
Yeah, we talked a bit about this during Picks and Bans. The Maman Brigitte gets through over Horus ban, which, of course, Athena and Horus were also banned, but the Horus ban was the one I want to zone in on. That just I cannot imagine that the Horus could have had more impact than WorstTurttle had on this character. Maybe the idea was for the Tartarus Titans, we'll just see if WorstTurtle's got a Maman, and if she does, we'll ban it away. Well, we figured it out. He definitely does. Was able to control, call it the duo lane, call it the whole map. It was just disgusting how quickly he got online and how much damage he was able to dish out. Not only that, GunTTeRR on the Ullr as well was right there, right? The damage numbers were about the same, considering how fast of a game this was, WorstTurttle and GunTTeRR popping off, but wasn't just that. Once you get the duo lane ahead, iDavy and Predss were able to just run around. You know, they could do what they want at that point because of the early double kill. Ends up being a triple early on, and that's what WorstTurttle can bring. So I don't want to see this Maman ever again, not in his hands. If the Titans can get it for themselves, sure, but I'm thinking that's going to be banned away.
Yeah, something tells me, you know, I had asked for a Maman game earlier, and I think that might be the Maman game that we get the weekend. Maybe they heard me and were willing to let me have it. Maybe there was just I'm not going to call it a mistaken picks and bans, but a bad choice that leads to someone going 10-1-4. That someone is WorstTurttle. Top damage outside of GunTTeRR, who was able to eke out another 300 more, but both of them hitting the 16K, approaching 17K marks. Deathless for a majority, or maybe not deathless, but low death count for a majority of the Wargs. Deathless for a couple of them. So the Titans maybe back to the drawing board as a whole, and it more than likely starts with getting rid of Maman. Or, in this instance, Trelly, because I see the names have swapped, and presumably if they take over the first pick on the left side of the screen, would you like to see them pick it up? Do you think MastKiII would be able to play it to the way that WorstTurttle did? And we can find out as we jump into picks and bans.
I wouldn't hate it, but I don't think that the Wargs would give a pick like that just because they just
saw
witnessed.
What it can do.
Exactly. They just witnessed what it could do. But it's possible the Wargs are making that same bet. Does MastKiII have the Maman? Will it be as successful? We'll have to see. And no, they're not taking that bet. I think that's a smart bet to not take in this case because it's just so explosive, so much DPS, and also so annoying to try and lock her down. In that case, you have a couple options, but the Chernobog, that global presence, wins the day, and that will be the first grab for the Tartarus Titans. Considering all that was available, still not surprised. I hate dealing with Cherno, and it seems like the Wargs are going to have a rough time trying to lock down this Cherno as well.
And with the power that we've seen from a Chernobog, it's usually rotation. It's actually what we saw out of the Athena earlier today. But can this Cherno keep up to it? We've seen some teams pilot it well. Some teams have not struggled against it, though. And the Wargs will get to show us what kind of team they are. Kukulkan on her locked in. So prominent mage, prominent carry that we've been seeing throughout the day. Answered with a Raijin, as well as, I almost called him a Kaiju because the one skin that I always use for Sobek, but the Sobek alongside him. It feels like the Titans, first off, that Sobek was banned last time, but other than that, get some really power picks.
They definitely do. I mean, Cherno and Raijin are going to be disgusting in lane, but more so late game, that's when they really come online. You're looking at Kukulkan and Alposh has been a pretty lethal combo, just like traditional solo lane mage like the Alposh or the Poseidon, followed by Kukulkan, who just wants to go full damage and burst down the objective. So not quite bad. I want to see a little bit more setup here. The Terra can certainly provide it. So far, that's really all you're going to get. I haven't seen too many cuckoo ults off of an Anhur impale, right? You're looking towards the support or the jungle to set up for you. So we'll have to see exactly what the Wargs want to go to in that last pick. But on the other side, an Odin lockdown. They do have a lot of AoE that can, really follow up with on the cage. Just not too many to worry about. It's just those mages, right? Kukulkan and Alposh are going to have a hard time getting out of that cage.
Yeah, and that's helpful until Terra gets like a Phantom Shell. But Odin Cage comes up more often than Phantom Shell. So if you're looking for the balance and the fight, that's it. The question I have, though, Agni, Raijin, one of those is going mid, one of those is going solo. So that means that this Odin presumably is for the jungle. And historically, Trelly, Odin jungle either is just the best or absolutely awful. So where, does he have enough around him that if he's struggling in the jungle, they can make up for that kind of balance?
I don't love it, and I'll tell you why. It's not the Odin jungle that I don't love. It's just that you already have Cherno, which means you're hedging your bets on late game. So the follow-up needs to be magical. The follow-up for the cage needs to be Raijin or Agni, and that's also, more so towards late game. So not my favorite, but if the Titans get late game, they're going to have a great time.
Well, we'll see. Can they hold on and get to the late game, or are the Wargs going to end this set and end our day right here? The only way to find out is jump down to the casters for Game 2.
Niflheim Wargs coming off a strong game number 1 against the Tartarus Titans. The Tartarus Titans deciding to switch it up, throw us back old school, pick up a Sobek, pick up an Odin, and hope that changes their luck.
And now we need to see the Titans play this early game a little bit better. I don't think we can really comment on how the late game went, because it really wasn't a late game fight, and we're seeing again the invade by the enemy support. He got it.
Happens every single time. It's like Predss coming out on top. And if you're the Tartarus Titans, I mean, you're already kind of on the back foot here in this game number 2. If you haven't totally, quarterback mentality game number 1 and gotten rid of it, you're already like, come on, really? After Predss grabs that green buff, got to grab the purple buff as well here, matching up with Davy. But I mean, talk me through the early game. Like, if you're the Tartarus Titans, what adjustments do you know you're making, especially since WorstTurttle is not on the Maman, something completely new in the Thor?
The 2v2 by the Wargs is a lot worse this game than it was last game. So now we need to see the Titans play through that, because this is what we're going to see in duo.
Woo! Goodness gracious. Sobek falling low, able to pop the shell and get out of town, though. Same thing goes for Davy, who has to back up on the Anhur. Plenty of early penetration online. Predss and Davy are about the same. Oh, never mind. I was going to say the same amount of health as their enemy duo lane, but that has been chunked way down. Predss and Davy certainly on the worst end of things there, as it's going to be a MastKiII Odin jungle. Now, you take a look at the Niflheim Wargs. Panvich, low mobility. Same thing could be said for GunTTeRR and Predss. Davy and Turtle able to get out of dodge. I mean, who are you targeting down if you're MastKiII, especially as you move, towards the teamfight stage? Is there someone you're really looking to snag in the cage with priority?
I mean, it's got to be the Cuckoo. I think if you lock the Cuckoo down, you have a little bit of follow-up. It should be somebody that you can exploit, but you already see Predss has this shell. And that's kind of like the weakness of this Odin jungle is, as soon as the shell gets online, Odin's just going to blink, cage, shell's going to get popped, and that's going to be the disengage. And that is the best way to play Odin. And then you back up, and you do it again once it's back up. Fortunately, the timing is really hard to work with, and that's why you don't see this Odin a ton. But if you can get off to an early lead, you get to that mid-game where you're doing a little bit of damage, you're a little bit tanky. It is a very hard thing to deal with, but as said on the desk, it is risky.
WorstTurttle getting locked down and some damage going the way of the Thor, but MastKiII gets it returned right back. Wow. The tornado was ticking on the Odin, and one more Zephyr out of GunTTeRR. It's going to put the finishing touches on the first blood. The Niflheim Wargs once again are going to snag the first kill of the game here in game number 2. The Tartarus Titans already success by not dying pre-1 minute, but just after 2 is also not ideal.
Not ideal, and also losing that green buff. A couple losses already for this Titans team, but as highlighted, this Titans team is something that wants to scale. We have that Chernobog versus that Anhur in duo lane, so there is that advantage in the late game for this Chernobog, but Predss still bullying in the enemy jungle, looking to get the secure, and it is very hard to out-secure Terra, and you can't do it.
I want to make this clear. That's not like the purple or the green. Predss is in the speed buff. Like that is the enemy tier 2 jungle and gets out just fine. Like you had a rotation. It was a little late from Zhainy. At least the speed buff goes the way of the proper team who it's designed for. And the Tartarus Titans no way. Did Predss just grab the
I think he got the green.
Again?
I think he got the green.
Oh, Predss. 2 for 2 on the green buff. You said it was hard to beat Terra Secure. It's nearly impossible to beat Predss Terra Secure.
Yeah. So far, Predss has been running this early game. Yes, he's not gotten a single kill. Yes, he's not gotten an assist. But you know what he's gotten? He's gotten more buffs than almost the entire enemy team combined.
At least Zhainy hasn't fallen. Same thing goes for the remainder of the Tartarus Titans, except, of course, MastKiII. So already much slower this game number 2 than game number 1. As WorstTurttle, you can see the beads being picked up here by the Thor early on, so it's not like the Blink where you're going to see the Thor running all over the place. But level 5 is online for the Niflheim Wargs jungler, which means that dunk is ready to go.
Yeah, level 5, and he just finished that Jotuns also, so he's got that cooldown. Now, as soon as you get that, you back to base, you sprint out, and you look for a play immediately, and that's what he's doing. He's sprinting down into the solo side jungle, and I assume he's looking for either Zhainy or lestimics. I think either is a fine option. I do think the Raijin is slightly easier to kill at this point with just how short the mid lane is, so I would prefer to see him make a play over there, especially with all this farm coming up on right, the backs, that little minion that runs around everywhere. A little bit of farm over there, so something that he can look to do.
MastKiII is at level 5, but with that early death, does not have enough gold to finish off the Jotuns or whatever penetration mace item that MastKiII's headed towards. So a little bit less effective in the early ganks here. You've got level 5s for everybody on the map. I mean, once Tartarus Titans really start rolling here, there's just a whole bunch of big circles, right? Out of Bakú, Zhainy, MastKiII, lestimics. I mean, you trap a couple members of the Wargs in the cage, and you've got some big AoE ultimates raining down on your head.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly how team fights are going to go. It's going to be play around our big circles and just try to, time around their Aegis as well enough. But something I want to take a quick look at is the mid lane build differential. A little bit more of a common, like Season 9 build with that Divine Rune Rush that Zhainey's gone. On the opposite side, we have the normalized Book of Thoth build. So slightly better early game by Zhainy right now. But as you can tell by the levels, does the early game really matter at this point when GunTTeRR's level 8 and Zhainey's level 6?
MastKiII and Zhainy teaming up on this right-hand side here, snagging some more farm for themselves, able to get away safely as well. This Divine Ruin, I mean, it is very early on, not even 6 minutes. Is this coming out just for stat efficiency? Is there some real important healing trying to get shut down on the Warg side of the team? I mean, what is Zhainy thinking here, besides, of course, putting the starter item in the wrong slot? Yeah,
besides putting the starter item in the wrong spot, it is... I assume it's just like the second, third item spike. He wants to be more effective in that spot because early game, yes, Divine has more damage, but it really changes as soon as Book is finished, so it's not that massive. I just assume he wants something, maybe Divine Deso, he wants to go both of those, or Divine and then maybe an early Charon's to get some stack on that. But, I mean, there's a reason Book is built. There's a reason it's built. It's so stat efficient. What it does, you never run out of mana. It's actually something I kind of want to pay attention to through this middle portion of the game. Will GunTTeRR run out of mana? No, never. Will Zhainy? There is a good chance if fights last a little bit too long. And something I noticed as I was speaking also, that entire time, Predss went and invaded another back camp. Or another speed camp.
Ooh, Zhainy able to escape successfully, but Anvil of Dawn online and comes down on the back end. That dragon a little bit off the mark, but Turtle able to put the finishing touches onto the mid laner. Predss falling low as well, and with a nice ultimate rotation from AicyD. You got a 1-to-1 trade. Predss falls and Zhainy's falls. So at least the Tartarus Titans can answer back from the kill in the middle lane. But is it worth the rotation? I mean, my question, early on, pre-10 minutes, when you see ADCs rotate, when is it worth it?
It's worth it when they get kills like this. He's also rotating back, and he's getting most of this wave also. So that's a very good rotation by AC there. And at the end of the day, if he doesn't rotate, I don't even think Predss dies. So yes, you're trading out mid laner for support, but at least your ADC's getting something. And when he's playing something like Chernobog, this is really good farm to get on the character.
About 7.5 minutes here. It's a little early on in the game to do a gold check-in, but just for the heck of it, why not? About 2K headed toward the way of the Niflheim Wargs, who have a a pretty nice grasp on this early game in game number 2 here. Obviously ran away with game number 1. That's an understatement. I can't think of a more powerful phrase. But in game number 2 here, Tartarus Titans have been very successful at slowing the game down. But I hesitate to even say, as there's action on the right-hand side, I hesitate to even say the Titans have slowed it down. It almost still feels like they're playing into the Wargs' hands.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a weirder early game so far by the Titans, because they aren't not looking for fights, but they're also happy to take fights if the Wargs kind of pressure them into that. And it's resulted in just like a really big XP lead by the mid jungle. And we're looking at MastKiI's level 7, and another green buff is getting invaded. This is just farm that is getting taken away from MastKiII because he's not there to split it. And also in mid lane, we have another level there.
Davey and AicyD going mano-a-mano here in the duo lane. So far, AicyD coming out on top in that Chernobog. Zhainy not looking to rain any bombs down as Turtle, GunTTeRR, and Predss have teamed up here. But here goes MastKiII in aggressively onto GunTTeRR.
Chernobog
as well. Tornado coming down. AicyD's made the rotation. GunTTeRR still alive, finally falling to the auto attacks from the Hunter. Predss able to escape. WorstTurttle just has to look on as the mid laner falls. Has a cursory hammer in a wall there. But, I mean, there you kind of see how they drew it up, right? You got the cage, you got the snake with mobility, and the Kukulkan dies.
Looks like they're... I was curious if they were looking for that full dive, but it seems like they're not tanky enough at this point. And that is probably the worst spot for the Kuku to be in. Not nearly close enough to Predss for Predss to peel him, and way too far away from his tower to actually get to that safety. So I assume GunTTeRR's going to kind of, take that into consideration next time. Try to play out of the jungle a little bit more. This is literally the one spot and the only spot that Odin is going to be super powerful because you don't have that safety of your tower. So it's just a little mental check for GunTTeRR. Yes, he got taken down. Still a pretty decent, sizable lead, almost 2K at 9 minutes. So you still have an advantage if you're the Wargs. But a couple more of those and we might be talking about a different story.
Gold Fury's on the map as we approach 10 minutes here. But despite, or I should say in contrast to game number 1, neither one of these squads looking at it quite yet. It's going to be a couple more items and a couple more levels before we start seeing scrums around that Gold Fury pit. So lestimics and Panvich have been pretty quiet over here in the solo lane. We haven't really seen any rotations from WorstTurttle or MastKiII either. Once again, we've got 2 mages, both taken into the solo lane, both building up a little bit of damage to start, a little bit of lifesteal, a little bit of defense as well. We didn't really see Panvich, or lestimics, I should say, make too much of an impact in that game number 1, looking to make more of a statement here in game number 2.
Yeah, I expect, especially with this Raijin, actually a play getting made in left. There's 3v1 over here.
Davey, it's a 1v3. It's not looking phenomenal, but Thor is in the air. Davey using CC immunity. AicyD falling very low. WorstTurttle going right on the MastKiII. A gank turned on its head here with a phenomenal rotation. WorstTurtle's not done. Great pluck, but a better beads. AicyD with a beads in return as well. Zhainy's made the rotation. A killer double stun and an even better hammer downtown. WorstTurttle picks up a double.
And that is a worthwhile kill. It might feel a little bit weird to see, Worst trade at that point, but you're shutting down this Chernobog. You're stopping him from farming. Davey's also getting time to free farm here. That is a win overall. And at this point, it's like the Wargs are kind of throwing their weight around. That was a 2v3, and that is the WorstTurttle, the Thor WorstTurttle diving even deeper into the enemy jungle, hitting that tier 2 almost, and still picking up that kill. And even though this is about a 3K lead, the Wargs are playing like this is almost the same lead as last game. It's just not nearly as big.
Is there something to be said as there's not a lull in the action at all? GunTTeRR being locked down in the cage, not dead quite yet, but it seems to be only a matter of time here as MastKiII puts the finishing touches on one. Zhainy is going to trade the life for it. MastKiII, he's got the bird bomb, able to use the shield successfully. WorstTurttle going right in. Predss around the corner. WorstTurttle taking the final shot. The stun from MastKiII was just enough to lock down the Thor.
Well, I talked about the other one was worth it. That one's probably not too worth it. That is a level 11 Odin, and you're a lot bigger on the Thor. But, I mean, when you're at a point like this, any kill you get just feels better in the team comms, so it's more of a mental victory than an actual victory on the scoreboard there.
AicyD and Davey looking at each other. David going right in. A nice Aegis, though, is going to immune the damage for just a moment here. AicyD turns it right back around in the crystals. Davey's going to take a lot of damage when that pops and immunes some of the damage in return by dashing straight into the wall. Ultimate online here for AicyD. If he chooses to go in, Pred's getting locked down, and that is a lot of shred coming out on the Terra. Bakú following up, lurking under the waters. Thor's not there. There is absolutely no follow-up. Pred's going to pop the ultimate in return. Davy's low. Pred's is low. The pluck from Bakú is good. Pulls Predss right back in. The bombs, the shield. So much tankiness coming out from Predss. WorstTurtle's made the rotation, but so is MastKiII. The dunk off line there from the Odin. Zhainy finds one, MastKiII finds the other, but WorstTurttle dunking in on the back line. Aegis to immune the damage. Bomb, lot of value out from that relic. MastKiII hunting it down. Good lockdown. Zhainy with a flame wave. Oh, and a turnaround from WorstTurttle. A little bit of here's some own medicine here on MastKiII.
And actually a huge fight there by the Titans. Yes, not a completely clean win, but when you're behind, these wins, even if they don't feel that great, are getting you back into the game. We're talking about a 3K lead now, and slowly but surely, this lead is dwindling for the Wargs, and I think they're getting a little sloppy with what they're doing. I think they need to slow down, play a little bit smarter, especially Davy. That play over and left, that is a very good 1v1 to take, but as you mentioned, Chernobog had ult that entire time. He could slow Davy down, he could chase out, slow, back, reset, and then ult back in. And, I mean, without even getting into it too much farther, they're pulling another objective, looking for even more of a lead.
Yeah, Pyromancer's going down. Absolutely no shot the Tartarus Titans take even a glance at that objective. The Niflheim Wargs, despite being tied 8-8 in the kill column, are going to take a hefty, call it about a 4K plus lead here, as we're not even 15 minutes in. Why call it a 4K when you call it a 4.5K lead? As thank you very much, production, for pulling those bad boys up, or spectator, I should say. Zhainy and MastKiII teaming up on that left-hand side, taking out a little bit more farm their way. And, you know, despite the big gold lead, kills being even, pressure on the map from the Niflheim Wargs, Tartarus Titans haven't lost too many towers. Still 4 standing, only 2 have gone down. The Niflheim Wargs haven't really been, as you said, tossing their weight around in objectives where it matters, besides that Pyro.
Yeah, they're really just playing for kills. Now, as you say that, they're looking to pull this Gold Fury. Cuckoo ult is not available here, though.
Does have plenty of damage online, though, with the Tornado, and immediately leashing it as the Niflheim Wargs, once the Lurking in the Waters comes out. The Tartarus Titans say, we'll pick it up where you left off, as the Gold Fury is just a little bit over half HP, now healing back to full. We got some rotations finally coming
Big
out
combo
here at 15 minutes from lestimics and Panvich. A couple locked in the cage. Up into the air goes Thor. Where is he going to slam back down? That's the question. AicyD also joining the Thor as the Dragon finds almost nobody. The Niflheim Wargs now on the retreat here at half HP. You'd think so, but they're going right back in as Panvich has made the rotation, tossing out some of them souls, and Bakú is going to fall after a nice engagement there from the Crocodile. AicyD takes a huge chunk of damage out from the Kukulkan. lestimics in the back line dishing out some of his own, and Predss is leading the charge here for the Niflheim Wargs.
And that entire time, the Wargs are just baiting him in, and actually, WorstTurttle hammers in. lestimics gets that Aegis off, but he looks to be caught out also. Beads also available.
A triple for WorstTurttle, but meanwhile, some low members of the Niflheim Wargs are being looked at here by Zhainy and MastKiII. One goes down, Panvich turns it right back around, and MastKiII, you jumped in too soon. A double for the solo laner, a nice rotation, and a delayed team wipe there for the Niflheim Wargs, who trot their happy selves back to this Gold Fury and are going to snag it.
A little low.
Sobek's coming in here, but it could be a coin flip. Sobek's in.
Niflheim
Wargs grab the objective and might grab one more for the trouble.
And I'm looking for maybe another delayed deicide, but it seems like the Sobek is a little bit too tanky. They're still slowly chasing out. Hammer barely off the mark. Bakú gets that pluck off. Still chasing out slowly, but it seems like that's all she wrote with that fight. We were talking about 8-8 not too long ago. It's now 9-13. The Wargs got 5 kills in that fight. They got the Gold Fury, only 1 going over to the Titans. And now it is about a 6, almost 7,000 gold lead for the Wargs. Pyro not available yet, but that Fire Giant is almost at a point where you can look to pull it. Last game we talked about secure. What is the secure option for both teams? The Wargs, comparatively last game, okay, I was worried about another fight happening in left, and actually he's going in.
Oh boy. I mean, AicyD, cooldowns, reset, WorstTurttle with a nice hammer. Able to get out of town there. AicyD burning that ultimate, not quite worth it, but talk me through secure opportunity here on this Fire Giant.
And with that secure, GunTTeRR on this Cuckoo has a lot better secure than that Ullr, and then we also have Panvich with the body stacking on this Opwash. A lot better secure by the Wargs, and then you look at the opposite side, Titans. Very little true secure. Yes, they have good burn, but secure is what matters when it gets to that 20, 25, 30 minutes, and that one Fire Giant can decide the game.
with this build path that lestimics has gone down on the Raijin, realistically, how much damage are those drums doing? As a little bit of a, I thought MastKiII got knocked up by the dragon there. It was actually a leap away. Ultimate burned there from the Kukulkan, and the Tartarus Titans completely forced out. But as I was, goodness gracious, that's a Sobek. GunTTeRR, that is a support character. You're not supposed to do that much damage. Realistically, though, how much influence is lestimics having with damage versus CC?
Yeah, he should, at a point in the late game, get to a point where it's more damage than CC. But at this point, the damage is more harass, more slowing, and softer CCs than it is in that true damage sense. And I expect a lot of, taunts or fears with lestimics at this point. Not really that full damage. And when you have the Cuckoo, this is what you want to do. You want to fight around these objectives.
There's the Terra ultimate. Zhainy had a nice angle, but the bombs didn't really get much done as MastKiII has locked down Predss and Panvich. We're happy to just walk away from that one like, okay, burn the ultimate. We'll just sit here with our giant dragon throwing out tornadoes. No big deal. Pyromancer's still on the table, though. It was leached there by the Wargs. A little bit of a heat check. The Tartarus Titans able to answer in time, and the Wargs taking a bit too much damage for their liking, backing off. You said a second ago, Fire Giant certainly in the picture. Pyromancer likely to go first, but you've got some weak towers on the map. I mean, you got a tower just now going down on the right-hand side. You got a weak tier 1 for the Niflheim Wargs on the right-hand side. Is it going to be like Pyro Fire towers, or are we going to see more of an emphasis placed on some of these objectives in the lane?
With how the Wargs comp should play out, I think it is more Pyro Fire and then towers. But you think about how the Titans are going to want to play these fights. They have this global potential with Chernobog, so it could be, you have to take this fight, you as in the Wargs, you guys have to take this fight.
Sure.
If you do take it, I'm ulting in, I'm going to be very powerful in this ult in, and if you don't, I'm going to be splitting down left. And so far with that 5-man grouping on this, that's not the spot where the Titans actually want to take the fight. This Fire Giant is where they want to take the fight.
Niflheim Wargs, talked about secure. How about a double runic bomb for you on the Terra? That'll do it. As lestimics, I mean, this is a full commit here from the Niflheim Wargs. They're going to snag the Fire Giant, and they're on the retreat now as the Tartarus Titans are trying to make something happen and are succeeding as AicyD's going to take out Predss. It's a 1 for Zip, a 1 for Fire Giant, I should say. And when you're doing the mathematics on that one inbound, where does that one come out? Is it worth, not worth? Talk me through it.
That's a worth at this point, as long as the Titans don't get anything else. I would like to see the Titans actually push down this middle tower here, maybe even look for a kill, but they opt to kind of disperse, get ready for this Gold Fury. With Predss still down for 10 and gold spawning now, it's not a great trade out by the Wargs, but I think it is still a victory.
The Wargs aren't done.
He jumped in
on this left-hand side. Fury back online. MastKiII is bye-bye for the next 35 seconds. Bakú going down as well. And the Tartarus Titans paying for their poor pathing there as slamming down into the backline as WorstTurttle. Dash away from lestimics. Same thing goes for the likes of Zhainy. And he dashed away there thanks to iDavy in that spear. lestimics dash back online, able to successfully do so with a nice thunder crash over the top there. It's 5 back for the Niflheim Wargs as Predss has made the respawn and is back in action. And why look at Gold Fury when the juicy Phoenix is right in front of you there as it's falling very quickly. Predss used that ultimate preemptively, and the middle lane bird dropped. I mean, 10 seconds was just enough time there for the Niflheim Wargs to grab the bird, and they might just go back and get the Fury for fun.
Yeah, that was a really weird play by MastKiII there, trying to take that 1v1 against Davy, or maybe just try to steal the buff, whatever it was. Put himself way too far out of position. Davy gets that kill onto him, and that entire time, Baku's around that Gold Fury, also getting chunked. And now we're talking about a completely different story. The story was, we got fire, yes, we traded out Predss, they got a Gold Fury. Sure, it's not the best trade for the Wargs, but they can maybe get some towers to get a bigger win. But now they got Fire Giant, they got Gold Fury, they got a tier 2 tower, they got a Phoenix, and they still have a good 2 minutes on this Fire Giant. A completely different story. This is now a 10, 11,000 cold lead, and they still have more time to push us even farther.
Well, the Tartarus Titans score a moral victory at the very least by taking down a tower on the right-hand side. It's a tier 1. Not going to grab much gold for your trouble, but hey, something is something when you're scrabbling at nothing. And with a middle lane Phoenix down, Tartarus Titans certainly looking for something to get their spirits back on high. I mean, it feels like deja vu, but if you're looking at base defense, if you're looking at stopping the bleeding, I mean, where are the Tartarus Titans? Where are their eyes focusing?
They don't have that base defense that they had last game with that op wash. They also had really easy clear. I think Agni's got fine clear, but it's still going to be such a tough fight to take. Fighting into a Cuckoo is near impossible, and at best, this is something you can do force out the Thor ult so at least they don't have that free engage under the Phoenix. But this entire time, they're just going to be pushing down right. They're going to be setting up also in left lane, and they're just going to have all these Phoenixes getting pushed in.
Kind of a weird play there. They hovered around Thor so much that they're allowing both of the sidelines to be shoved forward under their Phoenix. Maybe a little more time management here for the Tartarus Titans could be beneficial, as Panvich is going to take out one.
MastKiII.
Zhainy, Bakú, and the rest of the squad pushing forward here on the Niflheim Wargs, who are taking up tons of damage. It's Davey going to be targeted out. Meanwhile, Zhainy falls in the meantime. AicyD, so far the MVP here in game number 2 for the Tartarus Titans, finds one and is going to find no more, as there's enough lifesteal onto Predss to stay alive for at least a little bit longer. MastKiII's in a tough spot here between GunTTeRR and WorstTurttle. Cage goes down. Predss, meanwhile, is playing the Benny Hill music, chasing down AicyD on the left side there. GunTTeRR is going to fall at the very end of lestimics. Predss picks up one onto AicyD as well. But meanwhile, I mean, Puch is just throwing bodies at the Tartarus Titans' own final boss and is doing plenty of damage meanwhile.
And now we have 3 alive and only 1 alive for the Titans with lestimics, and they're actually going to look to maybe pick him here as they go for that right Phoenix.
Might be an anticlimactic finale here in game number 2, as Puch has pushed the waves forward, not able to pick up the final kill in the Lestimics. Zhainy respawning is going to turn away the Niflheim Wargs from any thoughts of ending this game. We've only got a little bit longer till Fire Giant's back online. It's ticking down now. Pyromancer is up. Still 1 Runic Bomb, by the way, in the pocket for Predss. Going to be a 2nd Runic Bomb for the Niflheim Wargs here in just a moment or two between this Thor and Puch teaming up together. Now it's just a full-on reset, back, buy, heal, Fire Giant.
And actually, it did look really weird what the Titans opted to do there, but they ended up not losing another Phoenix. They only have middle Phoenix down, which they can easily push up. They got the beads also onto Davey, so there's that opportunity in the next 60 if maybe they want to look to defend this. Still down 15k, so it would be a really bold call to make, but there's a little bit of life there, even if they are down a lot of gold right now. And they're slowing this game down, which is something they need to do, because still 15k, we're talking 6 items almost for everyone on the Warg side other than support, and we're talking still only 5 for the Titans. So there's a big difference there, but slowly but surely, if you keep slowing this game, keeping it going, 25, 26, even 30 minutes if we can get there, even game, just like that.
Fire Giants being grouped up around here. It's going to be a 5v5, a full-on team fight here, maybe for the first time, not a disjointed team fight for the Tartarus Titans. As the Niflheim Wargs going to go ahead and start the major objective on the map here, minus the Tartarus Titans' own Titan Lestimics, taking a bit of damage there, taking a little bit of poke out of the Puch, isn't sending much back out in return. And meanwhile, Fire Giant's falling low, down to a quarter HP. Here come the Niflheim Wargs with a dragon over the top, securing it successfully. Up goes Thor in the air, down goes MastKiII, and it is a full-on wipe here from the Niflheim Wargs so far. I mean, just asserting their dominance after the Fire Giant. WorstTurttle looking at Bakú, picking up one more. It's going to be a double. Lestimics clinging to life here as the only remaining living member of the Tartarus Titans. The Niflheim Wargs looking healthy, looking clean, and looking to take a Phoenix.
And maybe even more than that. We're talking 20 seconds on everyone on the Titans other than Lestimics, and they killed that Titan in right while Davey is still down here in middle, so they have the damage to push here.
Mid lane Phoenix falls. Lestimics has the ultimate online. It's going to have to make some kind of dream play happen, some kind of miracle defense. And says why? Why put forth the effort when you're just going to die anyway? The Niflheim Wargs dish out damage, take down the Tartarus Titans, and MastKiII respawns just to watch the Titan fall.
Again, another pretty clean play all around by the Wargs. Yes, they make some mistakes here and there. Yes, maybe too aggressive, should have backed off at this point. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with how the Wargs played today. And on the opposite side, the Titans have a lot of things to kind of go back to. I think a lot of it comes down to MastKiII in the jungle. Almost completely out-jungled at minute 1 all the way to minute 25 by WorstTurttle. WorstTurtle's making plays, he's getting kills. And MastKiII on this Odin, on this Erlang, really wasn't doing as much as he needed to be doing.
You've been in the competitive scene for a while. In a tournament like this where it's not one and done, right? It's not initial knockout and it's over. How do you take this experience and pivot it into the rest of the tournament and grow?
You've got to start with, what did we do wrong? And I think if you can actually highlight and go back and just see what you did wrong and move on from whatever you were doing, that is what you need to start with. Beyond that, I think this tank jungle that they're trying to do, it's not really working too well for them. I think if they can maybe play something more of that assassin style, I think that'll help them a lot.
Niflheim Wargs dusting off their hands after a clean 2-0. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Back to the desk.
Well, thanks so much. Again, Dimes and Inbound closing out the day with a Wargs victory. A 2-0 here, Trelly. And an important one, again, it's not the end of the road for the Tartarus Titans. You could hear, I think, some wise words as to things they need to improve. But if you're looking at the successes of the Wargs, this set was bountiful with them.
Yeah, I was a big fan of what WorstTurttle did in game number 1. Surprised that continued in game number 2, and I tend to agree with what Bobby was saying as well. The warrior junglers, I was a bit skeptical about that Odin. It didn't really seem like the late game composition that they drafted was going to be able to bridge that gap and get to late game. And I will say, I think MastKiII played Odin jungle about as well as you can. He had some big cages, he was, juking, he was, stalling for those shields, he was setting up for his team. But it just was not enough to bridge that gap. It was not enough to stop what WorstTurttle was able to do on the Thor, which, makes sense, I think. If you're looking at just map rotation and map presence between a Thor and an Odin, the Thor should be winning that trade. But I just can't help but think if you have MastKiII on one of his early pressure assassins, he could have been able to match at least a little bit of the pressure that WorstTurttle had and then bridge that gap, get your ADC, get AicyD to actual late game level 20 status, and that just goes so much better if you can pull that off.
And it feels like, draft-wise, right? Kukulkan, Thor, Puch feel like they all hit really hard. The Anhur as well, even though maybe it wasn't necessarily the Davy show, it does feel like it was a little bit of the WorstTurttle show. But the Wargs just play together as a unit so well. And they were all pretty much ahead from the get-go. And even moments like this, Charlie, those are the times at least, and maybe it's just because it's 25 minutes and your team's so far behind, but that's when that Odin cage needs to be impactful. It comes down, it lands on a bunch of people, but it's just not able to get the full lockdown that they would have wanted. 3, 8, and 8, unfortunately, there in the jungle for MastKiII. Meanwhile, on the other side, 13, 3, and 6. It was a little bit of the WorstTurttle show, and everybody else decided to show up for him. The Wargs, man, they just look good, which is a great sign for them. Again, in each of these groups, you want to be in the top 2. That'll send you to a third group, and that third group, top 2, will get to go to the qualifiers, essentially the last chance to make it to the World Championship up against some of the SBL teams. So wins on wins on wins on wins. It always puts you in a good spot, right? Double elim, as mentioned earlier, so it's not going to be the end of the road for the Titans. But it is the first in a long weekend of SMITE for these guys. 4 sets today, 4 tomorrow, 4 Saturday, 3 on Sunday, with the last 2 being those qualifier matches. So a lot of SMITE for them to get through. And if you're the Wargs, you're feeling pretty darn good about getting a win right here and getting it 2-0 at that. So looking towards the bracket, Group A, this is match 1 and 3 that we watched today, and some teams we'll get to watch tomorrow as well. Hex Mambo, Olympus Bolts, winner of that one, gets to go to Group C. Yodi Gang and Yomi Tanuki, loser of that one, is eliminated. So pressure on the line. You already get one advancing to the third group and one team getting eliminated, and that's not just it, because we'll also be doing that in the other bracket as well. So, Charlie, looking at Group A specifically for now, Hex Mambo definitely has cemented themselves as the team, maybe a frightening team to beat. Here, though, it was a lot closer. The Wargs with a dominating win over the Titans, but the Scarabs going 3 with the SOC team makes me a lot more excited, A, to see Scarabs versus Wargs, because that is going to be a 2 versus 3 matchup right next to each other in terms of the standings. Winner of that one will go to Group C, and then Penguins and Titans. Loser of that one gets eliminated. But Trelly, I'm starting to think that Penguins-Titans matchup might be a little closer based on what we've seen earlier today.
Yeah, I want to, first of all, agree with the Scarabs-Wargs matchup. That one is going to be one you definitely do not want to miss. But after seeing the Penguins go 3 with the Scarabs, I tend to agree as well. There is some good gameplay ahead of us, and I can't wait to get towards it, because you got to take these losses in stride, right? When you end up in that losers bracket, I think that's when you either get the worst of some teams or the best of some teams, and it depends on, did you learn from your mistakes? Did you, change up and adapt? And if you do, you come out better on the other side, so I'm excited to see that one as well.
Dig your heels in, push back tomorrow.
Yep.
Or some of the teams, we're going to know where they're going, so and whether that's ahead or home. that's going to be obvious. But we can only take 2 to those qualifiers in January. We've got 3 more days to figure out who those 2 are going to be. But from myself, from Shelly, everyone here in production, everyone here at Hi-Res Studios, thank you all so much for tuning in today. And we'll see you tomorrow for some more of the EU Championship.